Welcome to Harsh Reality Broadcast on the 2nd of April 2014. The title of this presentation is called Have I Joined Up the Dots Correctly? Now, there is optimism sweeping the country in the UK. I do not share that optimism. My research tells me that we are in for very tough economic times ahead. Now, I really do not want to see harsh economic times. I'd like matters to continue as they are. But I'm realistic. I know they can't. What really disappoints me is that the politicians are leading people to believe that all is rosy in the garden, and it is far from that. We seem to have career politicians that says things that the public want to hear and promise things that they cannot deliver. And that is very, very sad, because when things do go wrong, they're going to go wrong very quickly and very, very badly. Now tonight there is a debate on in the UK between Nigel Farage, the head of the United Kingdom Independence Party, and Nick Clegg, who is the leader of the Liberal Party. This is the second debate they're going to have, and it's about whether we should stay in Europe. Nigel Farage wants a referendum to see if the public want to leave Europe, and Nick Clegg would prefer us to stay in Europe, saying that we need to be governed by them so we become more powerful. I personally think that we should leave Europe, because initially we were only trading partners. Now we're actually being governed by them, and they are very, very bureaucratic. We don't have a sovereign government anymore. Recently, Tony Benn passed away. He was a Labour politician. I didn't agree with his policies, but he was a man of integrity, and he stood by the working classes. Unfortunately, the politicians today don't stand by the working classes. They're in it for themselves. And when you think about it, they are with the banking elite and with the mainstream media. So it's very difficult to break through that cartel, if you like. I am so disillusioned by the current mainstream politicians, and things are only going to get worse. I do believe that a change is required, and we need some more honest politicians. So, how do I see things panning out? Well, the governments have done a very good job of dumbing us down. We watch so-called reality programmes. We're encouraged to follow football, which, let's be honest, is simply a multinational corporation. I can't understand why so many people get so passionate about football. You'll probably know the term soccer in the US. I really can't understand it. I can't get into that mindset of the fans, because they really do get upset if their team loses, and it seems the end of the world for them. Yet they are bankrolling the likes of Wayne Rooney, who is getting £300,000 per week. And what we have in the UK is a lot of the working class now on 0-hour contracts with unstable working conditions. How on earth can anybody plan ahead when you've got those unstable working conditions? There is the pay gap between the rich and poor is increasing exponentially. Now, when I used to do economics, I remember them saying that for a happy workforce, you are going to have pay differentials between the person at the bottom and the person at the top of the company. But the ratio was geared at 20 to 1. So the chief executive officer got something like 20 times the earning as the person at the bottom. Recently, that has changed, and there's a lot of data to support that. And the gap is unbelievably wide, and it's dangerously wide. It's so bad that I believe that eventually civil unrest will ensue. People will not wake up until it's too late. And I'm surprised that the financial system hasn't collapsed by now. But my research is telling me that they are pulling everything out of the bag to try and keep this fairy tale alive. Quantitative easing is still happening in the US. People forget that. All right, it's been tapered to $65 billion per month. But has anybody worked out what that is per second? How many dollars per second that is? Does anybody realise that the debt ceiling has been raised to keep the fairy tale alive? My research tells me that sooner than rather than later, we are going to head for a massive economic collapse. And as I said before, I don't want to see an economic collapse. I would like to see the status quo, but I'm being realistic. We cannot carry on as we are. And it's very much like somebody having a credit card and going to the bank and asking for it to be increased, and they increased it to keep the lifestyle going. And that's exactly what we're doing. People have told me that governments can't be run like a household. Of course they are. You cannot get something for nothing. And it will crash eventually. And it'll probably take a black swan event to do that. So, although things seem settled at the moment, behind the scenes I really don't think they are settled. I think we've got tough times ahead. I can't give a timing of when things will go bad, but they will. And I think when things start to unravel, it will unravel quite quickly. What I've done recently, I've actually diversified my money. I used to have quite a little bit of money in the bank, and now I'm getting some property just to diversify. I also have precious metals. I do not trust the banking system. Now, if somebody said to me 30, 40 years ago what I'm just saying now, I would have thought they were mad. But, as I say, I do a lot of research and I see things for what they really are. I think eventually there will be bank bailings, just like Cyprus. A lot of people have told me the UK is a sovereign country, it won't happen. Well, they can only print money for a certain amount of time, it can't be forever, and that is one way of deferring the problem. I know we can print our way at the moment to defer the problem, but it won't defer it forever. So I'm planning ahead. I've now diversified my portfolio. Don't get me wrong, I've still got cash, but I'm making sure that I don't have too much in the bank accounts. Okay, well that's an update for how I see matters. I will do further videos. People who follow my channel know that I do animated cartoons and also PowerPoints. I like to make it varied, my presentation. The animated cartoons are light-hearted, but I still hope to get the message across. The PowerPoints are very factual. Anyway, thank you very much for listening, and I will send another video soon.